Hey everybody. I thought I'd do a little video today because I've been contacted quite a bit recently by a lot of people who are upset because they're living in the middle of nowhere, as they put it. They are geographically isolated. So, if that describes your situation, then this message is for you. Shalom everybody and welcome to Beit Tefillah. We started up Beit Tefillah a couple years ago, and since that time we get a lot of questions, and it's kind of ironic how they all kind of come in groups. It's kind of pertaining all to the same thing. They'll all come in, all be a lot of questions within a couple week period about this one thing, and a lot of questions another week period will be about this other thing. And recently, the last 2 or 3 weeks, I've gotten a lot of emails, I've gotten a lot of personal messages about a lot of people who are upset because they are isolated geographically from everybody else. Now, this isn't the same as the video I did called Feeling Alone with Your Walk in Torah. That video was more or less directed at people who have everybody around them and who may be in the middle of a big city, but they're walking alone trying to keep the Torah of Elohim, as everybody else is either Christian and lawless or agnostics and doesn't care, or their spouse isn't seeing what they're seeing and the difficulties they're having with that. This video is not about that. This video is about people who live in the middle of nowhere, like me. I can't see the pyramids from here, but I'm not that far away from them some days, it feels like. Our closest neighbors are cows. But I love it. That's how I grew up. I was born and raised in the country. My wife, not so. She was born and raised in town or a small city. Before we moved here, we lived in Tampa, and it was very busy, and it was hustle, bustle, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. And when we moved here, about 12 years ago, she was working online over the internet, and she was able to keep that same job that she had in Tampa when we moved out in the middle of nowhere here. We're very geographically isolated. And she had that job for quite a few years, and then when technology caught up and computers could do a lot that she did, her job went away. When she tried to find another job, it just wasn't going to happen. That was after the housing bubble popped, and a lot of factories were moving away, and in our area, it's really tough to try to find work. And back then, our son Mitch was living with us, and he was having spotty luck with work here and there until he finally started his own business, which he does today and he's very successful with. Some of that stuff I talked about in my testimony called My Journey to Torah. That's not really what this is about. What this is about is all the people in the last 2 or 3 weeks that have contacted me who are very upset because they live literally like we do, which they said in the middle of nowhere. They have geographic isolation. They are very alone, and so I want to talk about that today. And I want to talk about my wife. And she told me I should tell her story, so that's what I'm going to do. As I already mentioned, I was a country boy and she was a city girl, but we picked this area together. We both loved it, and she loves this area. She loves the beauty of the mountains. She loves the people here. She loves the town that we're probably 15 miles away from. She loves it. But she didn't like the fact that when she lost her job, she couldn't find any other work. And we were not keeping Torah back in those days. And we had started to keep Sabbath for quite a few years before that, and we were eating, as best we could according to the Levitical food laws. And we were getting rid of all the pagan holidays, but we weren't quite keeping all the feasts of the Creator. So she was complaining, and she was praying, and she was kind of railing at the heavens, wondering why she couldn't find a job and why the Father wasn't answering her prayers. She was getting very sad. She was getting very depressed, and it was very upsetting to me. It was affecting me quite a bit because obviously I love her very much, and we picked this area together, and I was just as happy as could be here. So we started learning about the Torah, and we started getting into that, and it wasn't until we finally disconnect our satellite television, and it seemed to be right at that time, right after that, where Elohim said, now I can talk to you because you've got the noise box shut off. We've got no other, they all went to digital broadcasting years ago. Remember, you had to get that little box to set up there? Well, that didn't work here because we're so far out in the boonies here. It just didn't work, but it was for the best. So she literally had nothing to do, And when she started reading the Word and we started learning by leaps and bounds, we suddenly realized why we were brought out here in the middle of the wilderness with nothing else to do but to learn His Word and come into covenant. Now she's very happy. She has much shalom, and she realizes that that was the Creator's intention all along. Sometimes it takes a while for our minds to pick up on what we're supposed to do. You know, I'll be the first one that I sit around going, I don't get it. And then finally it'll hit me, you know. But anyway, we're stubborn. We're all stiff-necked. That's the way we're made. And the Creator knows that. But I told that story to talk to all the people who feel geographically isolated like we are, to let them know you are exactly where the Creator wants you. I believe time is a lot shorter than most people think. I believe that we are much further along the prophetic timeline than most people realize. And He is leading us as one group again, even though we're scattered, just as written, that we'd be scattered to the four corners of the earth, and He was going to sift us from the Gentile nations. Well, it's happening right now. He is separating the sheep from the goats. The sheep who are hearing His voice are coming out of the churches. We're making our decisions. We're counting the cost to walk away from all the traditions we did, and not celebrating Christmas and Easter and stuff with family members who still want to do that once we realized that Elohim said, you will not worship me that way. So take this time of being geographically isolated to do what we're supposed to do, to come fully into covenant, to learn and study all the commands of our Creator, because we are told this is not a worthless word to you. This is your life, and it is our life. Not just for this life, but of course for getting into the next life. I got just a couple Bible verses I want to read today. First one is the last half of Isaiah 30:19, which reads, He shall show much favor to you at the sound of your cry. When He hears, He shall answer you. And the next two verses after that are Isaiah 30:20 and 21. Though Yahuwah gave you bread of adversity and water of affliction, your teacher shall no longer be hidden. But your eyes shall see your teacher, and your ears hear a word behind you saying, This is the way, walk in it, whenever you turn to the right or whenever you turn to the left. So for those of us who are in the middle of nowhere and who are geographically isolated, we have to know He has heard us. He gave us bread of adversity and water of affliction as we were being tested, and we were crying out to Him as we were afflicted, right? And our teacher, our Torah, our Word made flesh, was no longer hidden. Our eyes saw the teacher, and our ears heard His voice saying, This is the way, walk in it. Because after all, it's a narrow path, and we're hearing that whenever we turn to the right or whenever we turn to the left, we're being told, walk this way. So we follow that word as our walk in this life, as we're being sifted out of the Gentile nations, as we're being separated, we're being set apart from those who are not. That way, it's easy to see who are His. So if you're living in the middle of nowhere, and if you're depressed about that because all you have is you in the Word, and your scriptures, know that you are there for a reason. You are there to be taught. Hopefully our Messiah will come back soon, and the second and the final and the permanent exodus will happen, where all those who have been sifted, all those who have come into covenant, are going to be taken. And we will be put back in the land and on the new earth to forever be with our Elohim. So I just wanted to say that for all those who were feeling a little bit sad, because a whole bunch of those questions came in the last couple of weeks where people weren't talking about that. We felt it too. A lot of people are having the same problems all around the world who are Yahuwah's people. Doesn't that figure? We are all being moved as one. Okay? So I hope this video was a blessing to you. If you've been feeling that way in your heart, upset about your isolation, know that you are right where the Creator wants you, as He is sifting His people and He is separating us from the goats. Keep learning, keep studying, and thank the Father for all things, and He's going to continue to direct your path. Okay? So wherever you are, geographically isolated or not, if you're alone in a crowd or if you're alone in the middle of the country like we are, know that your Father has His eyes on you and He is watching you. Shalom to everyone in the greater dispersion worldwide. Thanks for spending a very small part of your day with us. Shalom from all of us here at Beit Tefillah Productions. Everybody be blessed and have a wonderful day.